A couple of weeks ago, I got flown out by a travel agency to create little cinematic movies during a 6-day hike in the Jordanian desert. When I look back at that trip and the little cinematic masterpieces I created, I noticed making these really comes down to 7 key elements. How can you make sure that during your next trip, instead of recording videos that look like they could be sent in a WhatsApp family group chat, you come back with videos that look cinematic like a movie? The first thing I learned about making these movies happened when I arrived in Jordan. This place looks absolutely unreal. It looks so cinematic already, and it's probably one of the reasons why they recorded real movies here like Indiana Jones, Star Wars, Transformers, Dune, my Instagram reel. All these movies were filmed out here, and that is the first part of the equation on how filmmakers are doing this. Go to a beautiful location. Going to a beautiful location doesn't mean you need to take a 5-hour flight. I'm pretty sure some of you will say that you live in the ugliest place in your country. However, I'm also pretty sure there are still hidden spots to find, because when we were in Petra, we saw the treasury. Maybe a bit of an ironic example because Petra is already incredibly beautiful. So where am I going with this? Well, when we arrived there, our local guide told us there was an even better location for viewing this place, which took a 14-minute hike. And when we completed that hike, it was indeed a much better spot. We saw that very few people knew this place. There were no tourists, no chaos, just silence. And we were standing a couple hundred meters above the treasury. I got much better shots there, and it was a cool experience in general. So ask a local for advice. Get a location scout. But location is obviously not enough in itself. That's why we need to take a look at part 2 of the equation. Tip 2. Time of day. The best shots I made were early in the morning during sunrise or later in the day during sunset. The most cinematic looking shots are made during these times because lighting looks better. It gets this warm golden glow. Shadows are less harsh. So if you want to channel your inner filmmaker, know that these times are your focus times. In noon you can go and take a nap, but during these times you need to have that camera in your hand. Also, if you know you want to see some special stuff, try to visit this special stuff during these times too. Good lighting will make it even extra special. This could mean you have to wake up before sunrise, but that could literally be the difference between this and this. Also, I know there's color grading on that second clip, but the entire power grade I used for it is now available for download in the description. By downloading it, you can easily drag and drop it onto your own footage and you will get a beautiful filmic look without having to spend hours and hours on color grading. Early morning also allows you to get shots without other people in it, so remind yourself of what you are as a filmmaker according to biology. Part 3 of the equation, get a great camera. And I'm not only talking about image quality. A better camera will get you a better image. So if you have the money and you want to do it professionally, it's kind of an easy way to get a better image without needing to put in extra effort when you're shooting. However, you can get good practice with smartphones or cheaper cameras, and also social videos are in high demand. So additionally to my FX3, I also brought a DJI Action 4, which can be bought for 200 euros these days. And the company I worked for, they absolutely loved the point of view shots I created with that camera. And I think in most of the reels I created, there was a higher amount of shots recorded on the Action 4 Pro. And that's a 200 euro camera compared to a 5,000 euro camera with lens included. That's crazy. The reason for this is actually quite simple. It's a tiny, very unobtrusive camera that I could carry with me all the time. It was in my pocket all the time. So during the most special moments, I had that camera with me. And when we were doing crazy stuff, I could still record it, and recording it is literally one click of a button. You don't even need to turn the camera on, and that sounds like something not that important, but it's actually such an incredible feature because it has given me so many great extra shots. Whoa. So remember, a great camera is not only the camera that shoots the highest image quality. I'll link a couple of great cameras below. Part 4, color grade. Now, if you want to upgrade the look of your footage without upgrading your camera, learn color grading. The basics of color grading can already make a massive difference to your footage, and it also teaches you to have a better eye for great looking footage. I would recommend DaVinci Resolve for the best results, but the basics can be done in any editing software, and here are some easy and basic tips to get you started. Make sure to shoot in the highest quality possible, preferably 4K 10-bit, and then fix your exposure, fix your white balance, add a bit of contrast, and add a creative LUT. Once again, I'll link the LUT I use for all of my projects in the description below. It allows you to transform your footage from this into this by simply dragging it onto your footage. These basic things already make a massive difference to your footage. Obviously, you can spend hours and hours in DaVinci Resolve, but I also realized that sometimes you don't have hours and hours and you simply need to deliver. Okay, so our videos are getting better and better. Let's take a look at part 5 of the equation. During my trip, I noticed a certain type of shot that I could always rely on. Still shots. This is something beginner filmmakers are a bit scared of because you probably want some cool dynamic movement in your shot, but unless you identify as a gimbal, you want to be shooting more still shots. Still shots force you to start thinking about your composition. They can always be used. They only need one single person to be created. And if you still want your sequence to be dynamic, cut them up quickly, add a digital zoom, and you're done. Now, there are a couple of instances where you want to move your camera around. If you're following a subject, if you want to reveal something about the scene or situation that's happening, if you identify as a gimbal. Now, I do know and realize movement can be beautiful, so here's a little trick that could work if you're not a gimbal, and that is to crank up your shutter speed to 1/500th of a second, and then you could potentially stabilize properly in post. Success not always guaranteed though. Part 6. We are almost cinematic. So after the trip, I came back with almost 4 hours of footage shot on my FX3 and I made a spot. A spot is where you sort the shot footage into usable segments, and I ended up having 30 minutes of shots that I thought were usable. Now, if you divide the amount of usable footage by the total recorded footage, you end up with a percentage. For me, on this trip, it was 12.5%. That percentage is proof that you want to be shooting a lot more than you end up using. There have been many cases where I wasn't really sure if I was shooting a great image, but when I looked at the footage on my MacBook, I was very happy I did. So, shoot more than you think you need, even if you're not sure if the footage looks good. We are making movies now because the last part, part 7, ties in with part 6. Always be ready and expect the unexpected. There were many shots at the end of the day where we almost arrived at camp, and in my mind I went into this mode of thinking end of hike equals end of filming, but that's not how things work. How it did work was end of hike equals here are some insanely majestic horses with beautiful sunlight. Here are some fascinating Arabian camels. Here are some beautiful Jordanian rocks with the most insane sunset. Here's a cat that looks spectacular. And a real practical tip for this, the one thing that really helped me to always be ready, is this tiny item, a camera backpack strap. I got this one from Freewell and my first thought was 50 euros is too expensive for a tiny piece of metal. However, those 50 euros were 100% worth it because it has increased the shots I've made to a very, very large extent. The metal clip allowed me to always have my camera on my chest while hiking. And I want to add to that, attaching 5,000 euros worth of camera gear to a clip on your chest while you're hiking, you kind of want it to be good quality. So spending 50 euros on a clip that you know is reliable might just end up saving your entire camera gear. It also gives you extra peace of mind when you're walking. Please let me know if you have some tips that I didn't cover that massively improved your travel shots. I'll try to make a pinned comment list, and feel free to check out some other videos on this channel that can help you make good looking videos that perform. Also feel free to check out the LUT and Power Grade. I have worked on it for a long time and I finally released it, so I'm really excited to see what you can create with that.